Thank you, ma'am, for the giving me this opportunity being a government officer, because particularly the this type of the forums are open for the technocrats, particularly those who are really giving so many thoughts and so many issues related to the pollution control and what are the innovative things which can be helpful for the society at large. So, in addition to that, the regulation is also very much important when we go in a society. That time, everybody is thinks that ki, why pollution is there. Then they also think that ki, why water pollution is happening. Why I'm not getting the clean water? Because in early days, in our childhood, we used to take the water in our forehands and drink it without any treatment or any thought that ki, it requires any treatment. So this type of the sovereignty in our mind was developed at that time, but now the things have changed. The time has changed because of our anthropogenic activities, means because of the intervention of the human being, because of our greed toward the capturing the maximum resources for our own purposes. That has really lead to the thought process of the pollution control. And it has started with the Bhopal gas tragedy when it was happened, and then the people have really started thinking that water pollution is something, and it requires to be have some attention and some regulatory mechanism should be there. So prior to the Bhopal gas tragedy, Maharashtra was the first state who have enacted the first legislation in 1969. And that was the first legislation just because of the need base, we can say. And it is related to the controlling the pollution which is developed or generated due to the some of the sugar factories, because Maharashtra is considered as a pioneer in the industrial development. And that time the some sugar industries after the independence, it has started developing in the at the water banks. And because of the disposal of the sugar effluent, there was so many issues which has came in means that time it was addressed, and to control that issues, the first legislation was enacted in Maharashtra, and further it has taken over by the parliament in the 1974, that is named as the Water Act 1974. And after that, as per the need base, then we have went to the air pollution control system in the 1981. And then after Bhopal gas tragedy, because there are so many other issues which was not addressed. So due to that, the Environmental Protection Act was enacted in 1986. So this is the just brief history of the all the issues why legislative agencies or the enforcing agencies came in force prior to the after the technological development, after the starting of the industrial development. Just I will go through the one short presentation which will give us the detailed idea about the how water conservation, why water conservation is required, and what are the different issues which related to the water recycling. Because this conference, particularly Water X, has taken the theme that maximum water resources shall be preserved, and that should be kept as it is or virgin for the next generation. So this is the great theme, and because of that, I was very much actively involved since from the beginning of this. And our honorable chairman, Srivastava sir, he have taken the initiative. Our member secretary, Singare sir, he has also taken the initiative that we have to do so many things and so many mileage we have to cross to achieve the pollution control. So just I will go through the what MPCB and what Maharashtra and what we are contributing for the pollution control and in what way. Just I will go through the one short presentation, so that will help us to give the detailed ideas about the. So this is the my topic was given that I am supposed to speak on the water recycling and the pollution control and what are the different solutions which can be helped. Our my presentation has the some specific outlines that how wastewater reuse in India can be happened, means what is the trend of it and what is the necessity of it, then various categories of the reclaimed water and its reuse, then status of the sewage generation and treatment capacity, what is the capacity we have, the status of the sewage treatment in the state, particularly in the ULBs, because these are the major generation where the sewage is generated and it needs to be recycled, because sewage is very easy to treat. It doesn't require much of the technologies. It is very simple to treat, because in earlier days, the village sewage is treated and it is being used for the gardening or the particularly the Marathi word is there that paras bag, means the garden nearby your house. So where that entire water usually used, and that is becoming a major resource. Because of that, the plants getting, or the creepers getting the resources, and we are getting the food from it, that is in the form of the vegetables. So this type of the circular economy was being implemented, and some of the case studies I am just going through that, which will help us to what exactly we are doing, and in what way we can give the message to the public at large. Because this is the major August gathering where I can really speak about the what are the resources and how that can be used judiciously. So these are the trends in the wastewater reuse in India, because we know the population of India is growing at a very high speed, and there are depletion in the agroeconomical development, as well as we are, because of the encroachment in the agriculture field, we are developing much of the houses, and just increasing the houses, but minimizing the agricultural fields, as well as we are also encroaching in the forest areas for our requirement of the food, shelter, or something like that. So because of that, the entire ecosystem is slowly going to be get disturbed because of the our continuous activities. But when the legislations were placed and it was made some restrictions, definitely it has started recovering back to its original state. But we could not go back to the population of the 56 crores of Indian population at the time of the independence, that has risen in the last 60 years, roughly triple to it. Roughly triple to it. So this is the rate by which we are growing in India. So these are the some specific miss everybody, because since from the yesterday we are listening so many theoretical issues, so many practical issues, and actual case studies. So these are the some specific sources. So where from the water can be get, and it can be reused, or what you may be happening with the water cycle. So where it is going, the various categories we can say in the agriculture, the water is used, means that if suppose we have the reclaimed water, it can be go for, as I have told you, the garden nearby my house was used for the food crops. What vegetables I want, that was getting from the my nearby garden. So like that, food crop, then non-food crops also, then grass and fodder. So because we require milk and other meat also, so for that fodder is also required. In case of the industries, we are focusing more on the industries, because though they are consuming not more than 7% of the total water, but still they are the major entities which can do much in this field. That's why. And third one is the in urban areas, we can also even use that water to the golf course. Even we can use this water for the public parks, toilet flushing, that is already started, then horticulture, fire demand, and landscaping. And in case of the environmental concerns, so we can use some this same kind of the water for the development of the wetlands and impoundments and the recreational use. Then indirect uses, like we can even because all the houses are made compulsory to provide the groundwater recharge system. Without that, they could not get the permission. And even we can allow some water to flow into the river to maintain the ecological balance, or we can say the ecological flow can be maintained. So these type of these different categories where we can use the reclaimed water. This is the just a theoretical theme of the entire issues. And what are the different technologies? Because we have already going through the number of technologies in the different areas since from the yesterday. So I am not going in a much of the depth to explain about the what are the different technologies available. But in general, the primary treatment, secondary treatment, tertiary treatment, and the utilization of the treated water. These are the four components involved in the entire show. Means what is water? That is used for the some of the purposes, then wastewater is generated, treat it properly and reuse it properly, and remove the sludge out of it. So this is the very simple way by which we can go ahead with the different technologies. So what is the scenario in Maharashtra? Because when I am talking about the entire world, so that may not be appropriate, because I am dealing with the some one portion of the India, that is the Maharashtra state. What is the total urban local bodies 391 to 394 are the number of the total urban local bodies. It includes corporation, it includes the councils, it includes the cantonment board, it includes the Jilla Parishad. So all these are included in that, and they are generating the roughly around 10,000 MLD of the sewage every day. And what is the capacity available with this? Because this is the main thrust area where the technocrats, where the technology providers, where the technology people, those who have the most economical technology available with them, they can approach to these areas where they can do much of the things, and they can really bring up the treated water, which can be which can be made reusable, or it can be available for the various purposes. So this is the thrust area. That's why I've just shown this slide. Another part means, just I have told you that how many corporations we have. This is the scenario of the state of Maharashtra. So we have the 27 municipal corporations, and they are roughly generating 85% of the total sewage. Means only 27 entities are very important for us because they are generating the 87% of the sewage of the state. And rest number is more in case of the municipal councils, class B, class C, and the Nagar Panchayat. But major concentration is required on the municipal corporations, and that is very typical number, that is 27. And majority of the municipal corporations doesn't have the even treatment facility for a liter. So these are the thrust areas. I wanted to give the message through this conference that majority of the technology providers should concentrate on this field, and where definitely they can invest themselves on any of the model. Either they can come PPP or they can approach to the corporations, but we want the most economical solution. This is the pre-requirement. This is the only issue. Second part is we have the different rivers, because already everybody might have read that there are 53 rivers polluted in Maharashtra. So these rivers are why polluted? Just because of the disposal of the sewage, either treated or partially treated, into the river bank. And that has resulted into the pollution. Because what water was available in our childhood, that water can be picked up in the forehand and can be drink, but now we don't dare to even put our hand or leg in the flowing water. So this is the scenario now. So it needs to be changed. And now the 85% of the pollution we have tried to minimize, and there are so many ways by which we have tried to do it. I will just go through some of the case studies. So this is the one of the case study, because unless you understand about the where and what exactly the Maharashtra have did, so just I wanted to brief some of the ideas. So this is the one of the great idea, that Koradi thermal power station, because yesterday also this case study was presented, and all the details were given, but I will just give you in the gist that Nagpur Municipal Corporation is generating some sewage, and out of that sewage it is treated and reused roughly around 130 MLD, and it is further taken up to the extent of the, I think they are going up to 250. But first phase is already completed, and it is 130 MLD of the water which is recycled. Means the raw water use was minimized. Means water resources was conserved. So this is the way by which we can go ahead. Then another example is with us is the RCF, Rashtriya Chemicals and Fertilizers, Trombay, Mumbai. So this is the another example where we are recycling the roughly around 27 MLD of the sewage. So that has reduced the burden on the raw water, and that has helped to minimize the consumption of the raw water, and recycled water can be recycled and recycled number of times, and water never get deteriorates on its chemical properties. It will be remain as it is. You can even recirculate it for number of times, n number of times. Another areas where we can say that what are the areas where we can recycle the water. So we have the one best example of the common effluent treatment plant in the Nandgaon Pet. So where we are recycling the 4.5 MLD of the sewage, because what sewage, this is the industrial effluent, and which is coming from the one cluster of the textile units, and this is being reused and the total discharge from the CETP is made zero. They are recycling back that the treated water to the member industries. So this is the common cluster where from the we are recycling, and that is really helped to minimize the stress on the natural resource. So these are the some specific we can say the flow diagrams which can give us the detailed idea of the treatment. So I'm not going much into the flow diagram of the treatments, because everybody knows, because we all are well aware about the what kind of the treatments are given, and some of the speakers also speaking on that issue. So these are the some specific areas, and we have already taken the proactive steps to treat the effluent. The government of Maharashtra have already decided to go with the 100 villages for the reusing, and they have already started that work for the treatment, and execution is in progress. Then we have also one in situ treatment program was also taken up in the Vasishti river of the Konkan, where we are recycling, means treating the one nala through that technology. Then there are so many alternative diversion of the nalas, because earlier in case of the Panchaganga river, the 21 MAD of the sewage was going into the river, that has been diverted to the available STP. Then in case of the Chandrapur also, they have built up the one CETP, one STP, but which was not used because of the non-availability of the infrastructure for the carrying the sewage. So these are the some specific alternatives we have provided, and we have guided them that they can do the treatment through this type of the waste. Then a new STP is also commissioned, and already we are recycling the near about 395 MAD of sewage. So that much of the load has been reduced from the fresh water. Then even in case of the infrastructure projects where the construction is required more than 20,000 square meters, and in that projects, it has made compulsory that 60% of the sewage from that project shall be recycled. In that way, roughly around 300 MAD of the sewage is recycled. Then even in case of the textile units, standalone textile units other than the CETP, there also we are making them compulsory that 50% of the sewage, means in case of the textile, there are two components. One is the dyebath colored effluent, and another one is the lean effluent. So lean effluent can be used for the recycling, and that can be reused again and again and number of times. So that way we are conserving, and we are directing to the industries that they can go for this type of the specific treatment facilities. Then in case of the sugar units, because Maharashtra is a pioneer in the sugar industries, and after UP, we have the maximum number of the sugar factories. So 100% treated effluent of the sugar industries is being used for the agricultural purposes. There are some issues with some sugar factories that they are overloading or overflowing some of the effluent. But now, since from the 2014 to 2018, we have established that water distribution system for the treated effluent. And because of that, the uniform distribution is happening in case of the sugar industries. And there are some local bodies where the water is used for the irrigation purposes after the treatment. The example is the Amravati, Solapur, Pandharpur, Karat, and so many. So there are majority of the local bodies where the water is being treated and it is being used for the agricultural purposes. So these are the initiatives taken by the Maharashtra Pollution Control Board. So one of the initiatives is we are not allowing any industry to discharge treated or partially treated effluent to the river, because we have permitted some of the industries, about 16 industries were there, but now that number has come down to 3, which were permitted way back in 1970s, when the industrial development was much of the required part. And slowly we have minimized the number of industries who are discharging to the water resource like lakes or the even river, that has been prohibited. And now 3 industries are allowed with the stringent standards. Then board has already issued the directions to the councils and corporations for the providing the adequate treatment facilities, and roughly 60% of the sewage is being treated. And as per our statistics, by 2024, And in case of the Mumbai for upgradation, by 26, the entire state will be free from the pollution. So this is the plan we have made, and that has been already submitted to the Honorable NGT as well as to the government for the implementation. And we are taking the review of it monthly or twice in a month. Third part is the we have already taken the several workshops, and I already told that hundreds of the workshops we have taken with the public gatherings, with the industrialists, with the people, that they should go for the judicious use of the sewage, and that will help definitely for them to upgrade the natural resources, and even the recharging of the groundwater, and even gram panchayats for the, because gram panchayat is a small entity of the local body, they doesn't have the technical and the manpower, means they doesn't have the skilled manpower. So that's why the MPCB have extended the financial support to the gram panchayats, and now roughly 20 to 30 gram panchayats are in a pipeline to receive the financial assistance from the Maharashtra Pollution Control Board, and that is happening just because of the support from the Maharashtra government. So thank you very much, and this is from my end. If any questions are there, I will be ready to answer it.
Thank you, Dr. Sontakke, for telling us more about finding economical solutions to reduce water pollution and the various schemes that the government has already put in place. I will just check if we have questions. One second. So the first question is, what are the skills that are expected from a chemical engineer in MPCB? This is, I think, directly from some candidate, Abhishek, who would like to apply in your department.
No, basically, the chemical engineers are much more required, and we know that the government have already stopped the appointment of the peoples, but they are really required in the execution of the some of the projects. And they can approach to us. Definitely they will get the, because hardly 5% of the work has been done in the environmental pollution control, that I am in a say totality, and 95% of the work is still yet to complete. So that requires the public participation, that requires the public awareness. So for that campaigning, we require this type of the peoples. So definitely they will get the opportunities, and there are so many consultants. They are also providing the some cost-oriented solutions, so they can approach to anybody.
Okay, we have one more question coming from Mr. DP Misra, who wants to know how many STPs constructed are currently not functioning.
There are 24 STPs which are constructed but not functioning, just because of there is no availability of the conveyance system. So that's why in my one slide I have showed that we have directed them to divert the sewage from the nearby nala by way of the pumping. So through that we have made the, out of 24, roughly we have made the 16 operational. Still 8 to 9 are non-operational, but we are going to make them operational in upcoming days.
So I guess we had only two questions for this session.